Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track or two. We're going to be checking out two tracks by an act named L.T Balkin. Balkin? If we switch over to here, we've got them on SoundCloud. We're going to be listening through Faded Pictures as well as It's a Feeling. So two tracks today. And we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh damn, I like the bass response with the lyrics in here immediately. Oh, I'm liking how we're stacking the vocals on top of there. Nice filtering through the EQ section. Put the album out here as well. Sick. That quarter note accent on the drums there, and how we know not to have the vocals start right on the beat of the next section. We've had the vocals come in just a little bit just to help transition you over to the next section. You know, whether it is a build or a drop, I'm not sure, but either way, the production quality, the interest in the vocals and the articulation there, and everything else so far has got me interested. Okay, so we've got a similar intensity here. Oh, we've got the strings rising. Okay. You can call me anytime. Do you still have my number? Oh. Do you still have my number? Faded Pictures. Like faded cool. Pictures, there's the context. Nice way to split that up. That's good. Before I go into the next section, I want to comment on a few things. One, that intro synth that we have, that intro bass synth with a bit of sizzle on it, is a nice way to start each of these halves. I like the fact that we had a break in the center, just a little bit of a filtered bit then, just to remove that bass resonance there, just to kind of keep things sounding fresh for that second time through. And I just also, again, things sound so sparkly and ready for release. I'm not trying to be super nice or anything like that. I'm happy with what I've heard so far, you know. Again, those strings are a nice texture shift there, nice bit of extra coloration. We're telling a story as well through the lyrics, which is nice, you know. We're not just putting the vocals in there for an additional bit of filler. Yeah, that's exactly where I would typically expect there to be a little bit of a rise or a little bit of a fill bit there. The transition was good there, and I liked we had a bit of waviness with it. Okay, so we're going back to that original verse, I suppose. Nice little bit of shimmer there on the right side with that, but that wasn't a synth we've had before. And I like the fact that we're still incorporating brief new elements here, just like, oh, that's a new thing. Oh, and it takes you away from most of what we've had repeated so far. Because we need a little bit of repetition to keep things familiar and safe sounding, you know? All filtering in that high pass filter. Cool. Good automation there. Yeah, that's fun. That's nice. Again, like there's these nice high-end bits to not mess with the low-end resonance of the basses and kicks. Great side chaining there. Good instrumental section. Well done. Smart. Oh, we're repeating that but with a vocal modulation. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Cool way of reinventing that tone there. Yeah, so I think the song is basically about someone who's looking back at the relationship they used to have with someone and kind of going, oh, you know, I still have that passion there, or maybe that passion is fading a little bit and you're kind of moving on, but you're also kind of disconcerted because, like, why does that person mean less to me? But it's nonetheless a catchy track, you know, it's well produced and I feel like it deserves more attention than this, and I really hope that it can get more attention to this. Well done to L.T BALKIN for this first track, Faded Pictures. We've also got It's a Feeling here, track number 2 today, so that's cool. We're going to listen through this one as well. Okay, this is a little bit more gentle than we had previously. I'm liking electric keys on top. Nice riser there with that filter there, with that catchy little piano melody there and the hi-hats in the background.
You know it feels right, that feeling inside. Now here we are, yeah, it's all a new start, yeah. Together we go, me and you will stop time. Now here we are, yeah, now here we are, it's a feeling.
This is why I enjoy the fact that people are making sure to incorporate vocals in their mixes, especially like, because if you've got bass heavy stuff, having someone in a higher vocal range is really, really helpful. You just want to stack those different parts into the various frequency spectrums to fill it up and make it sound huge, you know?
When you're with me, I'm so high, cannot get down. Baby, believe I'm myself when you're around. I'm so high, cannot get down.
Interesting vocal melodies here as well. Again, we're not hesitating with a little bit of ornamentation occasionally. There's a little bit of vibrato going on there. There we go, that modulation doing to the riser. It's a feeling, you know. You got that hook line in there, center, so people remember it, repeat it. Good smart move. Oh. Dude, this one slaps. This is probably the favorite one for me out of the two. I just like how this one cuts at you, but in such a loving way. It sounds like this is a little bit more limited or compressed than the other one, though. It's loud. Is the focal point of this part of the mix the bass and kick, or is it the vocals? Because if you sidechain the vocals like that, I'm assuming it's probably going to be that chord note groove. Cool. I mean, it would make sense for the drop to be the focus in the drop, because of course you have the vocals everywhere else, right? If you're going to repeat the hook line, you already know the hook line by that point because you repeated it beforehand. I'm liking these additional vocal layers on the top, how she's going for an instrumental. Like, I can't sing at that range, but obviously the lady or whoever's singing this can. But to have that as a foil or a contrast to the hook line there is just a nice bit of additional development in the second half. It wouldn't have been the same otherwise. We need more because we're already kind of used to it. And especially if we're following a similar harmony or chord progression in a similar way of approaching percussion and the other aspects, we need at least one new thing to keep us entertained. Interesting filtering on those hi-hats. Okay, it's nice to have that extra little bar at the end there just to be like, oh, wait, what? Boom, and it takes you by surprise. We didn't have that with the previous one, so we're trying different ways of approaching drops with a second track, and I like it. Very intense here. It's nice to have that additional synth layer as well. I'm just grooving along to it. Like, I'm enjoying my time with this, but I think, like, you know, I don't also want to spend half. I don't want to keep interrupting this all the time with every little interesting thing I hear. I want people to be able to appreciate the build and the drop in most of its entirety. You know. Nice little. Oh, cool. We had that sub drop filling this out. That's cool. That's great. That's great. I've got no real complaints about this one. I was initially a little bit concerned about the EQing in this because there was like some real hard, really kind of like this will be here and this will be here going on with some of those higher frequency sections. But I think there's also been some notch EQing involved on the stereo and the studio side of things, which has helped to kind of even out that intensity of that mid to high range. But you know, we had Faded Pictures and also It's a Feeling by L.T BALKIN, because this is the conclusion for this review of these two tracks by L.T BALKIN. Hopefully you've enjoyed it so far. I certainly have. Faded Pictures, I think, was about... I've already spoken what Faded Pictures was about. It's a Feeling, like, quite honestly, I got sucked into, like, a lot of the musical aspects as well as the hook line here. So I feel I've got enough of an understanding about what it's about, but I'm just going to have a quick listen through the verse again, just to make sure I haven't missed anything important. So yeah, I think from at least from the first verse, we're talking about when we're feeling, like, really high when we're with this person, you know, like, really good, in a really elevated state. So I think that's what It's a Feeling is about, you know. I think the drop is the building up of that feeling where you just are vibing and having a great time. And I think that that sense of euphoria and vigor and charisma is appropriate for what we've got from everything else in the mix. I enjoyed the technique that both of them showed here. They had slightly different ways of approaching it. One was a little more sultry. This was a little bit more kind of peppy. And that's great for both of them, you know. Faded Pictures, you don't want someone who's super happy about the fact that they're like losing their connection to someone. It's a Feeling, you want someone who's a little bit more excited about the fact that they're enjoying their time with someone. In a way, these two stories thematically contrast each other, which I think is great because it shows how L.T BALKIN go between those two different moods to create music that feels appropriate for it. Lovely bits of ornamentation here. I'm liking the vocal fitting as well that went on, the harmonies that have been applied occasionally. I think that we had enough of what was needed in order to make both these songs pop with the different singers involved, and L.T BALKIN brought out the best of those two, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how they could have improved their vocal performance there. They told the stories well, and it sounded authentic and made sense with the context of everything else. The structure of these tracks was typically like, you know, verse, build, drop, stop, and then repeat for the A and B sections with an intro and outro there as well. You didn't really need more than that, you know. You kind of want to grab someone by the throat when you have a track like this. You really need to have them pay attention to what you're doing, because there's a lot of people making music like this, and you need to tell them, no, this is worth your time. Hear me out the whole way through. And if you do, typically it works out. In this instance, I think that the approach of both these tracks was in L.T BALKIN's favor, and I think that, you know, it's a nice, easy to follow structure. The instrumentation here, we had lots of, you know, like piano, drums, bass, synths, etc. Lots of automation on those as well to keep it sounding fresh throughout. And kind of sometimes they were automating throughout the headphones or like going from side to side. And the sub drops as well, they were occasional, were cool. And just the bits of white noise as well, just to sort of simulate being put into like a DJ mix or something, was great as well, you know. It was fun. I could tell that L.T BALKIN put a lot of work into not only creating chord progressions and harmonies that worked well with the voice, but also the other instruments. We put time into that, but we also knew that it wasn't enough to not include like the filter sweeps and everything like that. You needed to have the whole entire package, you know. So great work on the compositional standpoint. You know, I love the dynamic range of these tracks as well. Obviously the drops were fairly heavy, especially It's a Feeling, but at the same time we had those lighter bits where you could just kind of vibe and simmer with it. And you kind of need that after a drop, you know. If you go too hard, you don't want to tire the audience out, right? Finally, the production, the recording, mixing, and mastering was great. It was palatable. I did dig the way that things were EQ'd, stereo panned, and there's the side chaining of the kick was great there. I wasn't initially super duper vibing with It's a Feeling in the drop section, because it just was like side chaining everything, and it wasn't, from what I can remember, it wasn't as aggressive with the previous track. But at the end of the day, you know, like if you want that loudness there, you want that intensity, sometimes you got to sidechain stuff like that, and it's totally fine. Again, by the second time listening through that by the time listening to that second build, I was familiar with how we were approaching it, and I don't personally have an issue with it at this point in time. I think you gotta do what you gotta do to get that you got depth in there, you know. You know, the effects change on the vocals as well as the other instruments mix were interesting, engaging, and made a lot of sense, you know. There was no muddiness or anything like that. Each of them had their own sort of little notch in the frequency spectrum. The limiting compression was great. They were very, very loud, which is fine. You know, there wasn't any sort of like digital distortion or clipping or anything like that going on, which can often sort of kill the vibe of a track a little bit. It's unnecessary, you know. And I'm glad that we were trying to still be respectful of the dB meters and stuff like that, you know. Even if we're going for an LUFS of like -10 or something like that. It's all good. It's all good, but effectively this is my review of Faded Pictures and It's a Feeling by L.T BALKIN. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy these tracks, please do go check out L.T BALKIN's various social medias and SoundCloud page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.